Hi, welcome to the F1 Time Portal, a Formula One history podcast started by two followers of Formula One. I'm your host, Rosa.
And I'm your Schools Out host, Luigi. And today we're taking you back to the 1972 season, part 3. Let's go.
Schools Out?
Yes, and we didn't give much credit to the other one too, Smokes on the Water from the last episode.
Yes, Smoke on the Water. Yeah,
but Schools Out's a pretty cool song. Do you know that song?
I don't know. Maybe I do. Who's it by?
Alice Cooper.
Oh, yeah. Yes.
Schools out for summer.
Yes.
Schools out forever.
Yes, definitely.
And considering you work in the school industry,
yes, yeah,
this should be right up your alley.
It's our theme song, yes.
No, I don't know. What is your theme song? The Schools Out song, or is it that Another Brick in the Wall?
Yeah, I was going to say that one.
But that comes later in the 70s.
Is that Pink Floyd, Another Brick in the Wall? Yeah.
School gets quite a bit of bashing, considering it's doing a good educational service for students.
That's right.
It gets associated with authoritarianism. Right?
Yes, it does.
But that's not fair.
No, I'm glad you're there for schools, Luigi, and being an advocate. That's right.
Governments deserve that, but not schools. Okay, so we're at the 5th race of the season. We're up to the Belgium Grand Prix. Like I said as a teaser, it's not Spa. It's at a track called Nivelles, Nivelles. Looks a bit like Monza, would you sort of say? Yeah. Yeah, so I wonder if it's going to be like a Monza race, like a bonus Monza race. 4th of June, 85 laps, and the weather is warm and dry. So, like I alluded to earlier, in the first time in the Belgium's long race history, not being held at Spa.
Yeah, it was considered to be too fast and dangerous for Formula One. Funny that the track is now back on the grid and the drivers love Spa. Like a lot of drivers consider that to be the best track out there. So, yeah, they just had to upgrade the circuit a bit, but it does get its way back into the calendar.
And when you say a lot of drivers loved it, do you include Jim Clark in that list?
No, he hated it. He hated it.
Yeah, he did not.
But he was good. He always won there, but he hated it.
Yeah, he hated it for other reasons, for trauma, I think.
Yes.
So this new track was a newly built circuit. Surely a newly built circuit would have cost a lot more than upgrading the other one. But anyway, let's just move on. 30 kilometres south of Brussels, the track was lined with guardrails, catch fences and runoff areas. And it sounds like really good progress from a safety perspective.
Yeah. So practice was on Friday and Saturday afternoon, and one very notable person was absent, Jackie Stewart.
Yeah.
Like, this makes sense now. Like, he's now under doctor's orders to rest, and I think he takes like a 3-week break. He was very ill with a bleeding ulcer, although later on it was diagnosed as gastritis. But anyway, whatever the reason, he was not well and he was under doctor's orders to rest. But it kind of answers our questions as to why he was spinning all the time. I know the Monaco race was wet, but he's also very good in the wet. And that race went for 2.5 hours, so I don't think it was very fast. So, yeah, it makes sense that he's needed a bit of a break.
Yeah. So answers some questions, doesn't it?
Yes.
So while Tyrrell relied solely on Savert for this race, I'm surprised for a front-running team they didn't have another driver.
Yeah, they didn't bring someone else. Yeah,
like what's that about?
Yeah.
Anyway, the BRM team had a domino effect as Wiesel was unable to drive due to a broken finger, and Vern Schuppen, who we talked about earlier, was brought in. But his hopes of driving in the race were dashed when a series of events meant that Gethin in the BRM, who is the BRM lead, took over Helmut Marko's P160B. We haven't talked about Marko this year.
No.
So Marko took over Schuppen's older P153B.
Oh, so he got shuffled down to the end and didn't have a car.
He got relegated from Red Bull to Racing Bulls.
Yeah, to nothing.
Yeah. So how does it feel, Marko? How does it feel?
It actually it sounds weird speaking about Helmut Marko as like a driver, because we really only know him as one role, which is mentor. Well, I don't know that you can
mentor,
use that.
Antagonizer.
Yeah. Antagonizer, yes.
Yeah. I mean, let's face it, Marko's been relegated. He's had issues with his career. So he's basically not dishing out anything more than he's received himself.
This is true. So on to first practice, the Ferrari pair of Regazzoni and Ickx were settling a blistering place initially until Fittipaldi ended the day fastest.
Well, the track does look like Monza, so of course the Ferraris are going to do well at this track, right?
Hopefully. They've started well. So on Saturday practice, Fittipaldi continued his dominant form by setting a pole time of 1 minute 11 and 43.43 seconds. Fittipaldi even had the time to help his Australian teammate Walker improve his time by getting him up to 12th. Oh, so I'm assuming he did that with slipstreaming, don't you reckon? Like, how else would he have supported his teammate?
And yeah, that's right. And 12th. I mean, even Fittipaldi must have been like a little bit of eye roll.
Yeah.
Like, come on.
Really?
Yeah, 12th is the best you could do with my slipstream help. Yeah. So the grid ended up being Fittipaldi on pole, followed by Regazzoni in the Ferrari, Holm in the McLaren, Ickx in the other Ferrari, Severt, the Sol Tyrrell, and Beltoise in the BRM, the hero of Monaco.
So that's 5 different marks in the top 6 places. This is going to be interesting, especially if it is like Monza and there's going to be lots of slipstreaming. Not strip sleaming, slipstreaming, Luigi.
Yes. So on race day, it was Regazzoni that made a blistering start to launch into the lead. Fittipaldi, despite a lot of wheel spin, took up second place, and at the end of the first lap, he was right on the tail of Regazzoni's Ferrari. Right behind Fittipaldi was Ickx, Holm, Severt, and Hayward.
So while Regazzoni was in the lead, everyone could see that Fittipaldi wanted to overtake. And on lap 9, after lots of attempts, he passed the Ferrari while braking for the hairpin on lap 9.
Yeah, and like most great drivers, once in the lead, Fittipaldi did what all great drivers do. He steadily pulled away. This meant that the excitement for the race now rested for the battle for second place. And we've talked about this, Rosa, that sometimes when a not great driver gets the lead, they're not pulling away. They're just holding on. They're holding on for dear life.
Exactly.
You know?
Yeah, that's right. Well, in this race, by lap 11, Severt was making steady progress and was now sitting in 4th behind the second place Ferrari of Regazzoni and the third place Ferrari of Ickx. Do you like how I incorporated the Ferrari names in there?
Yeah. Everything has to be Ferrari. Yeah. Shouldn't you say Ferrari to represent the car
Ferrari.
and the engine? Yeah.
That's right. Exactly. Yeah. I should do that.
Because, we don't exactly say Tyrrell Ford and Lotus
No, we
Ford.
don't anymore because everything's a Ford.
Yeah. So, for those Ford fans out there, we're not intentionally forgetting Ford. So we apologise that we don't mention Ford. We should mention it in the Constructors thing, I think.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah. Anyway, it was clear that Ickx was anxious about Severt behind him. So Ickx made numerous attempts to pass Regazzoni because, let's face it, the best defence is an attack. But Regazzoni was having none of it and ignored his teammates' attempts to pass.
Nice. And no team orders.
And when they were giving team orders back in those days, it was probably like someone with a board on the side. You can easily, rabbit's ears, miss that.
Yeah, exactly. Yes.
So anyway, the battle between Ickx and Regazzoni lasted until lap 26, when Ickx suddenly had a throttle cable issue, and as a result, he needed to pit, and that moved him out of the picture.
This meant Severt now moved up to the tail of Regazzoni, but even he had troubles passing the Ferrari, but he finally did so on lap 31.
This is not sounding like a Monza slipstreaming track.
No, it's not
at all. Even though it looks a little bit like Monza.
Not at all.
It was at about this time that many realised that Pace, I think it's actually pronounced Pache, because he's Brazilian. Yeah.
Oh, Pache.
But let's just call him Pace because we're talking to the primarily English-speaking world, and to the Brazilian people, you're used to hearing it being mispronounced. So
we apologise.
Yeah, we apologise. Sorry, not sorry, if you know what I mean. It was about this time that many realised that Pace in the back marker of Williams' March had moved up to 7th place, and not much of a back marker there. He had passed the Monaco hero Beltoise, and he pulled away from the other drivers that were around him.
So the next bit of the race is pretty uneventful in the leading group until lap 58. Regazzoni came up to lap Gully in the Techno. gully spun and the Swiss driver had no time to avoid a collision. Both cars were out. This allowed Eamon and Holm to move up to third and fourth place, respectively, and they were far enough behind Regazzoni to not be caught up in the drama.
Is this the first time we've mentioned Eamon?
Eamon, yes.
In the race?
Yes.
In the year?
In the year.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Interesting, isn't it? That Matra's already got one foot out the door, I think.
Yes.
In the meantime, Fittipaldi continued on to win the race by nearly 30 seconds. Severt came second, followed by Holm third, nursing a car that was having more and more problems. And fourth was Hailwood in the Surtees, so he's up there again.
Yeah, another good result for that team.
Yeah. And fifth was Pace in the Williams March, but we'll call him Parche because he gets points.
Well, give him Parche. He's getting points. Yeah, that's amazing.
If you get points, we say your name properly.
Okay, so over to the championship standings. We've got Fittipaldi on 28, Denny Holm on 19, Jackie Ickx on 16, and Jackie Stewart on 12 still because he wasn't a part of this race. Lotus Ford has jumped into the lead on 28. McLaren Ford is on 23. Ferrari is on 19 and Tyrrell Ford is on 18. So it's still pretty tight on the constructors. Actually, it's tight both sides, although Fittipaldi's slowly creeping away.
Yeah, and Holm hasn't scored anything for ages.
No.
19 still. Yeah. Okay, so we're up to the halfway mark of the season, the sixth race of 12, the French Grand Prix at Clermont-Ferrand. If I ever go to Europe for a trip and just have lots of time, I want to visit all these old tracks just to see if they're overgrown, weedy, or if have been relegated down to F3 or amateur car racing events. I wouldn't mind seeing them, you know?
Yes,
yeah, that's when I've got a holiday where time is not a problem, you know? Like a really long holiday. Time and money, yeah. Yeah, because you have to travel there, stay there, eat there.
I want to go, I've said before, I want to go to Hockenheim to see where
yes. Clark.
The little plaque for Clark. And I hear that that's now no longer like on the edge of the track. It's like deep in the forest.
Yeah, I'm sure there'll be a pathway to it.
There'll be a path, but it's not where it happened. Like relative to the track, it's no longer there because the track's changed shape so much.
Yeah, the track's moved, yeah. But that would have been near where it happened physically. That's where the track was.
Yes, that's right.
So anyway, at Clermont-Ferrand, July the 2nd, 38 laps and warm and dry. So 38 laps meaning it's a longer
It's a long track, yeah.
So safety was really becoming an issue this season. For example, the Dutch Grand Prix of 72 was cancelled because it was also considered to not meet the minimum safety requirements.
Well, that's good to hear. The French Grand Prix was in question, but not much for safety. The Paul Ricard circuit, remember last year, had suffered a significant financial loss. So the F1 organising committee got approval to instead hold the race at Clermont-Ferrand.
Yeah. So interestingly, the Circuit des Charades natural settings around the base of an extinct volcano created safety concerns due to the dark volcanic rocks which fell from the mountain onto both sides of the track. Drivers who skirted the track edge would often send rocks flying into the middle of the road and into the way of pursuing competitors. So we might need to pin that, Rosa.
Yeah, I think we do. So to hold the race there, Clermont-Ferrand had to undertake extensive improvements, including double guardrails around the entire circuit, catch fencing in certain strategic locations, and widening of the start area. At the same time, a new restaurant was built and a concrete grandstand opposite the pits.
Did that restaurant have air conditioning, though?
Probably. I'm going to say yes.
That's a big call.
Yeah.
Because in Europe, they don't really have heat like we have here.
No, that's true.
Yeah. So this is starting to sound a lot like F1 today with all those features that you just talked about. Is this one of the first times we've heard of a grandstand being built at an F1 track?
I think so. I don't think we've ever we've heard of people lining the track and being near the track. We've never heard of people sitting in a grandstand before.
Yeah, it's different. I mean, we take it for granted because every track has many grandstands. So, yeah, it's interesting, isn't it? So this is starting to sound a bit like F1 today, I think. So our rule, if we hear it for the first time from the Mike Lang book, our view is it's the first time it happened. So there you go for the trivia trivia buffs out there.
So on to race day, some interest was the launch of the new Tyrrell 005. So in the first practice session, Savert drove it and it quickly set a very competitive time right out of the box.
Yeah, until he drove it with too much enthusiasm and he clouted a guardrail, which hurt his wrist and damaged the new car sufficiently that it was out for the weekend.
But that time, if it was kept, was good enough for fifth on the grid. So had it participated, because you have to start the race in the car that you set the time, so he wasn't able to do that. But if he had, he would have been right at the front of the grid, which is pretty good for that car. Good news if they can actually not crash it.
Yeah. As such, Savert had to switch to the Tyrrell 002, while Stewart had to use one of the 003s and 004s. So Stewart was obviously back. And I'm waiting for the 007 to come out. Surely that car's got to be a James Bond special or something. I mean, a British team.
Yes, British pair. And James Bond was out in the 70s, wasn't it?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah.
It was in the 60s. It just didn't have the momentum and the release schedule that we're used to in our era. Yeah.
I wonder if it spurted oil out and shot guns like an actual James Bond special. But anyway.
Well, I think it would do everything a Formula One car does. Like, yes, squirt oil out.
Yeah.
Drop bolts, have broken wings, broken clutches.
So we also have a new driver making their debut this race, one that would have quite a long career, Patrick Depellier. He was a local F3 driver and he was free to use one of those older Tyrrells.
And I can tell you how that's pronounced because I have heard it pronounced in old Formula One. Depellier.
Depellier. Very French. Very good.
I don't know if we're going to keep up with that.
Yeah, remember that. Yeah.
I'll remember it, but then why will I be saying Depellier to him and then Pace
Yes,
for Pache?
that's right.
It seems a bit disrespectful.
I think we have to go to Pache. We're going to go. I'm making an executive call.
Okay, Pache it is because we know. I'm sure we're pronouncing others wrong.
Yes, but we know that's...
But we know that's wrong.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay, so with only 25 drivers available to start in this race, only 25 places, Saturday's practice session had a lot more pressure than normal. And it was Eamon in the new Matra that felt really happy with not only the new Matra, but this track and the road holding off his Goodyear tyres. So he ultimately set a time of 1 minute 53.4, which was 0.9 ahead of the second fastest driver, Denny Hulme in the McLaren.
There he is. He's back, Denny. Stewart locked in third, 1.6 seconds behind Eamon, then X in the Ferrari.
That's an amazing performance. Also an amazing performance from Australian Tim Schenken in the Surtees, who set a time good enough to be fifth on the grid. And let's not forget, I reckon this is Helmut Marko's best qualifying of his career. He was sixth in the BRM.
Wow. So that's again, Luigi, that's 6 different marks in this top 6 positions. And our championship contender, Fittipaldi, qualified 8th in the Lotus. So he was having engine issues plaguing him all throughout qualifying.
Wow, how frustrating. So given Savert in the Tyrrell was 7th, this makes it 7 marks in the top 8 positions.
I have to give a special mention to BRM. I know that we've been talking about them a bit, but they came crashing back down to earth since their amazing win at Monaco. Without going into too much detail, Bourtois spun out and scattered stones on the circuit, which in turn caught Gethin out, which put him and his BRM out of the race because he wrecked his car. Then on Sunday morning during the untimed warm-up, the drive shaft broke on Bourtois' car, which meant he took over Ganley's car. This meant Ganley was out of the race and Bourtois had to start from the back of the grid.
Oh, boy. I'm struggling to keep up with all of that. It just sounds like a nightmare. Okay. So to the race start, when the flag fell, they all got away superbly.
That's a Mike Lang word or a you word?
That's a Mike Lang word. He even wrote, they all weaved their way round the circuit's 51 corners. It was a tremendous sight.
51 corners. That's a lot. No wonder he loved it, but it was very difficult to pass here. So it was not a surprise that our man on pole, Eamon, was leading, followed closely by Holm and Stewart.
You know, considering Eamon, we barely spoke about him all season, and here he is leading a race.
Yes.
Yeah. It always happens like this. We make a comment and then bang, they're up
back.
There. Yeah. Isn't that the commentator's curse or something?
Yes.
Yeah. So by lap 3, the leading trio of Eamon, Holm and Stewart were well clear of Ix, who in turn was pulling away from Marco and the rest.
In the midfield, Fittipaldi was putting in a big effort to make amends for his poor qualifying. Not really his fault, it was his car's fault, but he was slowly carving through the field. It wasn't long before he had passed Marco and Hailwood and was now working to close the gap to Ix.
And in the meantime, the leading trio were as close as ever, with Eamon still in the lead.
What was interesting in this race is that the efforts of some of the drivers to keep up were not only using all of the road, but they were frequently putting a wheel in the dirt on the side of the track, which meant that gradually mud and stones were building up on the racing line of the track.
Was that in the code of conduct?
No.
I don't think that was in the code of conduct.
I don't think so, no.
And we need to get a copy of that 72 driver,
we do.
The very first driver's code of conduct, because I'll make a bet they make a comment about not intentionally putting a wheel on the track to do that. But yeah.
Yeah, not good, because on lap 9, one of these stones penetrated Helmut Marko's visor and blinded him in the left eye. So while he was able to bring the BRM to a stop, the injury impacted his vision enough to bring about an end to the Austrian's promising F1 career. No, that I'd call it promising. Would we call it promising? Maybe.
I don't know.
I mean, he's in a BRM with 6 drivers. Maybe he didn't get a good opportunity.
Yeah, I mean, this is one of those sliding door moments, isn't it? And if this did not happen, would Helmut have become the leading Austrian driver instead of another that will presently remain nameless?
Yes.
And it's not Gerhard Berger, for those of you thinking later. Would he have gone down the Red Bull path, tormenting young, drivers? I don't know if Helmut was a leading driver. He didn't really show that. He looked like a driver that would have had a long career, though. And I feel sorry for the guy, because obviously the joy of driving F1, even if you're a midfield driver, it's still awesome experience, and his experience was cut short.
Yeah, absolutely. So the stones continued to cause dramas. It caused Redman in the McLaren to have a puncture, and soon after, Depailler suffered the same fate in his Tyrrell.
Yeah, and it gets worse for one driver, none other than Chris Eamon.
Oh, no.
Lap 20, and remember this is a 38-lap race, after he finally started to pull away from Stewart, he also suffered a puncture from the stones. The French crowd was very upset to see their French Matra pull in from the lead.
Eamon returned in 8th place, so with him out of the way, this left Stewart in the lead.
Eamon was pretty determined, as you can imagine, because he obviously had a car.
Yeah, he had the car.
He started a charge, and in the words of Mike Lang, the Matra was sounding beautiful. I think he was at this race. Remember, beautiful sight. And I'm thinking a young Mike Lang was watching this race.
In the meantime, puncture retirements were becoming more and more frequent, including Depailler, Stommelen, Ix, and earlier in the race, Holm.
Yeah, so this is crazy that they could keep the race running with all these rocks causing all these issues.
Yeah.
And no doubt, you've got Marco pulling in with a serious eye injury, which caused the loss of his vision.
Yes.
So it's more about luck as to whether you get a puncture or not, or an injury or not, like Helmut Marko. So poor Eamon, from a superficial perspective, because his race was taken away from him. And I suspect strong TP championship points are heading his way.
Well, he's still not out. He's setting repeated lap records, and by lap 35 of 38, he flew past Peterson in the Weird March and Sever in the Tyrrell, and by race end, he was only 4 seconds behind second place Fittipaldi.
So he had this race if he hadn't had that issue. So Eamon did receive a huge reception for his performance, so much so that Stewart winning the race was rather overlooked.
See, everyone thinks he's boring, Luigi. So, to the championship standings, it's getting interesting. Like someone's got to make a move. So Fittipaldi's on 34, Jackie Stewart's on 21, and then Denny Holmes stuck on 19. He had a retirement for a puncture in this race. Jackie Ickx on 16. So I'd probably say it's out of Jackie Ickx's grasp and Denny Holmes. But
we're only just past the halfway mark.
I know. Yeah, this is true. On the constructor side, we've got Lotus Ford on 34 points, Tyrrell Ford on 27, and McLaren Ford on 23, and Ferrari is on 19.
And Beltoise still has the same points, the only points from that one amazing race.
Yes.
Okay, so now we're up to race 7 of 12, the British Grand Prix. Always enjoy this race, but it's a bit hot and cold, this one, isn't it?
Yeah, this is at Brands Hatch.
Yeah. So July 15, 76 laps, warm and sunny. So there were a few changes from the French Grand Prix in terms of lineup, except for BRM, who arrived with only 3 cars versus their normal 4 or 5. Andretti was still unavailable, and Regazzoni was still recovering from his broken arm. So he must have had an injury. I can't recall.
Yeah, we don't mention all of that. And yeah, Andretti was still only sort of filling in and still doing his American race stuff. So yeah, but interestingly, commercialism is changing the sport in 71. Remember, we called this race the Woolmark Grand Prix, and in 72, it's called the John Player Grand Prix. So not only do they have a car, they now have a race named after them. Yeah.
And look at this. We've got nice, soft, warm brands like Yardley and Woolmark making way for John Player Special and Marlboro. It's sounding cooler, though, you have to admit. Even though these are bad things, that smoking's not good for you. Everyone.
No.
But wool's not bad for you. Not that I know of anyway.
No.
So, yeah. So at first practice on Thursday, the customary 100 bottles of champagne was again on offer.
That old gem. I wonder who won it. I think Holm wins it, actually. I'm surprised it wasn't 100 packs of cigarettes, Louis, given it's called the John Player Grand Prix. And most people would have smoked in this era.
And they would have driven like crazy for it.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah, because cigarettes are expensive. Even back in those days, comparatively today. Probably not as expensive as today, to be honest, because they're being so taxed in most countries.
Yes.
But for what it's worth, though, it was Fittipaldi that won the 100 bottles.
I thought it was Holm. I read somewhere it was Holm. Okay,
no.
Fittipaldi, of course.
He's not fast enough for that race.
No, okay, thank you.
In the second practice session, Stewart, now driving the new repaired 005, that severe damage, set the fastest time, and then had an accident at Druids and put the new Tyrrell out of action for the rest of the weekend again.
It's like it's cursed, that car.
Yeah.
They keep binning it, but it's very fast. They just have to stop crashing the thing.
So when it came to Friday practice, Ickx in the Ferrari set a blistering time of 1 minute 22.2 to not only be the fastest of this session, but also to gain pole position.
Fittipaldi, despite some car troubles, was second, 1 minute 22.6, followed by an impressive Revson, a further 0.1 of a second back.
Yeah, that's very impressive for Revson because he's been a little in the shadow of Holm, his teammate in the other McLaren. So on race day, 50,000 fans are on hand to watch a superb start by the front row starters with Fittipaldi and Ickx side by side and Ickx taking the lead into the first corner.
Amazingly, Beltoise in the BRM was third, having somehow gotten there from 6, which was a great start by him. Maybe he can get some more points, Louis.
For the TP Championship?
No, actual points.
Real points. Okay,
yeah. Maybe he'll get real points. I know you'll start giving him points. I do want to add that he became a bit of a moving chicane and a queue formed behind him with Stewart finally passing him into third and seeking to get back some lost ground on Ickx and Fittipaldi. So, yeah, he kind of held up the whole grid behind him.
Okay. Well, so for the first 20 laps, Ickx and Fittipaldi were nose to tail and only just ahead of Stewart.
By lap 25, these three drivers began lapping back markers, which meant that Stewart was now right in with the leading pair.
That's dangerous because so much so that Stewart for some time took second from Fittipaldi, but Fittipaldi fought back.
By lap 40 out of 76 laps, this leading trio were captivating the crowd and were lapping everyone. At about this stage, only two other drivers were even on the same lap as these three, Peterson and Holm.
That just shows they were in a real zone.
Yeah.
There were 8 retirements at about this time, with Reutemann in the Brabham in his debut season ramming Pache in the March.
Ramming. Was that yours or Mike Lang's words?
Amazingly, Mike Lang's words, and I wonder if ramming was in the code of conduct. Like, do not ram other drivers.
No. But what a battle for the lead, though. This is like 76 laps, and the first 40 have involved a trio of top drivers nose to tail. That's pretty...
Yeah, until lap 48, when Ix's Ferrari started to lose oil, and one lap later, he was forced to switch off and roll into the pits.
Amazingly, while this leading duo of Stewart and Fittipaldi was providing racing excitement, only Revson in his McLaren was on the same lap as the leaders.
So at race end, Fittipaldi finally won the race, having broken clear of Stewart to win by 4.1 seconds. Revson was third, over 1 minute further back.
Peterson in the March was a safe fourth, but on the penultimate lap, he spun off due to an engine cutting out issue and he slammed into the abandoned cars of Savert and Hill. Oh.
Wow. This is what I call an old school accident because they don't often leave cars on the track nowadays, but in those days, your car sat there till the end of the race.
Yes.
And then they picked it all up at once. So I guess if there's a positive, it's good for energy absorption in the case of an accident because those cars are sort of made to crumple in some way.
Yeah. And isn't it sad that now we're only hearing of Hill in an abandoned car situation?
Yeah. This is 72. Remember he got his last podium in 69?
Yeah.
He won the 69 Monaco race.
Yeah.
And that was his last podium too. So
special mention goes to Merzario in the Ferrari. On his debut, he had an issue at race start and spent 1 minute in the pits with a problem. He managed to charge back up to 6th place.
Strong debut by the Italian. We should have mentioned it earlier, but a really good result. And I Google images of him, and the thing is he seems to wear cowboy hats a lot.
Oh.
It's a unique look for an Italian guy.
Yeah. That's funny. All right, so to the Drivers' Championship, we've got Emerson Fittipaldi now on 43, Jackie Stewart on 27, Denny Holm on 21. He finally got some points. Jackie Ickx on 16. And in the Constructors, we've got Lotus Ford on 43, Tyrrell Ford on 33, McLaren Ford on 27, and Ferrari slipping back on 20.
Yeah, Fittipaldi's retaking this championship with both hands, isn't he? He's got a bit of a lead now, but still time for Stewart. And Holmes finally got 2 points to add to his 19 from forever ago.
Yes. Well, we might leave it there, Louis, and come back for the next part next week.
Or next time.
Next time. Yes, next time.
Okay.
Bye.
See you next time. Bye.
Bye.